We all want to come home from work and just be ultra productive, start a business, clean the house, or go to the gym. But honestly, when I got home from a full-time job with a 4-hour commute, my body would just go on autopilot. I would just shut down for the most part, and all I wanted to do was basically just relax. And that would look like going on a gaming session, watching 4 episodes of some show on Netflix I don't even remember the plot to, or just scrolling on my phone. Funny enough though, I never felt relaxed. My brain always felt foggy, and I would always feel tired the next day, although I was doing nothing. But honestly, I was obviously doing something, and it was not helping me out. And I was starting to see the consequences also. I was not happy. I did not feel like I was actually being productive with my time. But even worse, my health was being affected. I was like 65 pounds overweight overnight, or at least it felt like that, okay? But yeah, it was not a good part of my life. So that's why in this video, I'm going to give you guys just 6 ideas that helped me out the most during this time to get out of this rut and to actually start utilizing my evenings correctly and to actually build that business, go to the gym, and to get productive. Now, before I tell you number 1, you have to do this first because it's so important, and I want you to write it down on paper. You want to establish a transition ritual. No, it doesn't involve yoga or lighting candles. It just involves changing your normal habit when you get home from work. So instead of putting on sweatpants and going on this deep doom scrolling and watching shows, don't do that. Go ahead and put on your running shoes, go to the gym, put on some music, get in the mood to clean, go for a walk and get some energy. All these things are going to help interrupt that process and get you transitioning into another part of your productive day. The minute you put on sweatpants, the minute you touch your phone or your laptop or the TV just to watch 1 episode, trust me, it is all over. I've been there, I've done that. It doesn't work, okay? So many shows. But let's get into number 1. Number 1 is productive dead time. Dead time is the time you have when you usually think there's nothing I can do to be productive here, like cleaning or cooking or washing dishes or being at the gym or being on a long commute. How the heck do I be productive with that time? The honest truth is we spend, according to Cosplay, about 20 hours a month commuting. That's a long time. So imagine if we could spend 20 hours a month being productive on something. Our lives would completely change. So here are the 2 things that I did during this time to use my productive dead time, or to use my dead time more productively. Number 1 is I highly recommend get into audiobooks. The only reason I've been able to read over 100 to 200 books is not because I'm a genius or because I love reading, but it's because I built the habit. And the way I built the habit was just by listening to audiobooks on that 4-hour commute. I was just eating up books at that time because I had such a long commute that I could just listen and listen and listen and start changing my brain and how I thought, okay? Now, this is going to be embarrassing. I didn't listen to audiobooks about productivity or making money or building a business or becoming ultra rich at first. My first books were just all based on entertainment. Why? Because I was just interested in building the habit. Now I'm going to share with you guys the book I read to entertain myself at first, and it was called Consequences by Aletha Romans. It's a romance novel. I know I don't seem like a romance novel guy. I'm not either, okay? But those were the first books that I basically read. And to me, those books were so interesting, honestly, but so twisted at the same time. And I also read biographies by like Kevin Hart and other artists I was basically interested in because I just wanted to get entertainment and get used to listening to audiobooks. Now, there are 5 books I highly recommend once you establish the habit, which usually takes about 21 days to 66 days. But the idea is build a habit first, listening to things you enjoy and you like and just feel like entertainment, and then get into the books you actually need. I recommend 5. I recommend you read Your Money or Your Life, The Richest Man in Babylon, Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, The Psychology of Money, and The Barefoot Investor. Now, I know this seems like a lot of books, and it is honestly, but if you use your dead time productively, like 20, 30 hours a month, the answer is everything is going to change. Now, you're probably wondering, Tommy, how the heck am I going to get so many audiobooks, okay? I'm not rich. I'm not going to buy so many. The answer is there are libraries that offer them. Look it up on Google. You'll be able to find it, okay? But I use personally like Audible, and I pay like 15 bucks a month, and I was able to get like a few good books every month. But I did this and I stopped spending money on Spotify, stopped spending money on Netflix, and that's a lot more productive than spending money on entertainment and actually learning about things. But yeah, there are free ways to get audiobooks. If you look it up online, you'll be able to find a lot of free legal ways that will not that will not get you in trouble. All right. Now, number 2 is to use this free time in your evenings to plan a way out and escape. Escape from what? The 9 to 5, the rat race? Not necessarily, but yes. But more importantly, is escaping from the unfair trade of time and money. It's never a fair trade. We're all gonna have to at some point work for money because we're not born rich for the most part. I wasn't born rich. Most likely you're not born rich. But 7 years ago, I was working a job and it had like a 4-hour commute. Like I said before, that's 12 hours every single day, 5 times a week. That's crazy. And I was just getting paid about $500 a week. How is that a fair trade? It's not. Now, the idea is, it's not to try, and I really want to tell you this, okay? The idea is not just to try to make as much money per hour as possible, although you should, but that's not the end goal, because the end goal is not to keep working forever for more money. The goal is to stop trading your time for money by building enough passive income to where you don't have to worry about money. So that's exactly what I started to do with my evenings. I started to try to make a plan to get out of this entire trade. And what I did was I tried to build a small business on the side, and that worked out after about 2 years. And I actually was able to build up to $8,000 a month. I no longer have it, but it was a very decent, good business when I had it. And on top of that, I did YouTube and I tried to build it up. And a few years later, it actually got monetized. And today, YouTube is basically like my full-time job, but I don't spend 60 hours a week trying to do YouTube. I spend a good amount of time, enough time to get you guys quality content. Now, here's the 2 things that help me out a lot and you can apply to get out of this entire unfair trade, time and money. Number 1 is you want to pick a focus. Whether it's going to be a side hustle, a business, a career, or a trade. And you want to make sure you actually, there's a really good book on this, okay? It's called 100 Side Hustles by Chris Guillebeau, where the author basically says, when you're picking a focus, make sure it has these 3 things. 1, you like it. 2, you're good at it. And 3, it actually makes you money. If it doesn't make you money, it's not really a hustle or a business or a trade or a career. It's more of a hobby. Number 2, if you are not good at it and it's too difficult, like no matter how hard I try to do rocket science, I don't think I could actually get that in my head, but it's just gonna be too frustrated and too hard. And I'm probably gonna be mediocre and just give up. Now, 1, if you don't like what you're doing after work, you could probably make it work potentially, but you're going to be miserable. And you don't want to spend your days at work and then your nights being miserable. Try to find something you actually enjoy, you like. Not that makes you super happy, but you actually enjoy it. Now, the second thing you want to do is you want to give your work an honest chance to show results. Here's what I mean. I had a friend, and every single week, my friend had a new idea, a new plan, a new big way to make money. And he didn't give any of his ideas any time to actually blossom and show results. He always cut them off when it didn't make him rich in a week. What I recommend is give your ideas at least 18 months, not of doing the same thing without any results, but trying to practice, evolve, and learn and try new things, okay? That's the best way. Now, there is one thing I want to tell you as a friend. As a friend, I will say this. Making more money isn't going to make you successful. That's not a sign of success. The goal is to stop trading your time for money. Although I don't make as much money as I did in those peak years, I rather make the money I make today, but have so much more time. Have time for my family, for my friends, for things I enjoy, to travel and so on. That's much better than making $1 million a month or whatever, but having no time at all. Now, number 3 is have a Sabbath day. The word Sabbath on its own really means rest. That's how it's translated. And it said that even God rested. But today, anyone that kind of takes rest and days off, it's almost looked like as if you're lazy. That's why you're not successful. And I couldn't agree less. In reality, we live in a hustle culture where everything is just about making more money, working longer hours, and just being ultra focused and connected all the time. Now, that's going to have severe drawbacks. Now, I'll tell you exactly what I went through when I bought into the hustle culture, so hopefully you don't go through it. And the first thing is, I saw the consequences, okay? I went from being broke, having no money, and being in debt in college, but being healthy, to all of a sudden making the most amount of money ever and being over 215 pounds, feeling sharp pains in my chest, and always feeling tired and always being out of breath too. And you're probably saying, well, it's worth it, right? Of course it's not worth it. I was making more money, but I felt like trash. I did not feel good, if I'm being honest with you. And second, although I was making the most money ever in my life during that point in time, the answer was I was the loneliest, and I would say probably the unhappiest I've ever been. It almost felt like everything I was doing for money was just basically for money. Like there was no other reason behind it. And on top of that, I had no social life because although I had my friends, they never kind of left me, but I would barely talk to them because I was just so focused on money. I would go to sleep at 4 a.m., 6 a.m. sometimes, and I would just wake up to do what? To eat, to shower, back to work. And I made a lot of money, I had a lot of results, but my health and my life was basically decaying. Life is not just about making money. So I highly recommend have a Sabbath day. And what I mean is this, okay? If you're gonna pick Saturday or the day you pick, the answer is prepare the day before. You know, cook your meals, plan your work, do everything you need to do. And then on the day of rest that you've chosen, well, go for a hike, go for a walk, call some friends, go on a date, try to meditate, try to journal, draw something. Just do activities that don't involve work for the most part. Do things that kind of bring you back, okay? Now, here's what you don't want to do on a rest day. You don't want to be on your phone scrolling, watching 16 episodes of some anime, or basically just playing video games like crazy, okay? Or sleeping the whole day. That's usually a sign of depression. You want to be very careful with those things because although it might be interpreted like you're not really working, in reality, those activities rarely, if ever, make you feel rested. They don't. Usually make you feel drained, your brain feels foggy, and you don't feel like you actually did something that actually relaxed you. Now, number 4, since we are on the topic of health, I might as well tell you how to get healthy during these evenings and how to utilize it to get your body back in order. Now, like I mentioned before, I was 215 pounds, and you don't get there overnight, and you definitely don't come back down overnight. Today I weigh about 166 pounds, and don't worry, I'm not gonna give you some crazy diet. I'm not gonna tell you something secret that you probably don't know. It's really basic. What I did to lose weight was basic, all right? Now, the idea is this. Number 1 is you wanna eat whole foods. What are those things that are called whole foods? Foods that are just, I don't even know what whole foods means, honestly. Like, what does whole foods means? I'm gonna Google it. I know what it is. I just don't know what it means, like how to explain it to you guys. So whole foods are foods that are not processed. They're actually just natural in their natural state, like chicken, like beef, like an apple, you know, things like that. You know, okay? It's like something I know you know what whole foods are. I know what whole foods are, but I didn't know how to explain it that way because Whole Foods, as the Amazon store, has taken over. But if you just eat those for the most part, you're most likely going to lose weight. Here's what I noticed, okay? When I was overweight, I was eating a lot of processed foods. I love French fries. I love Doritos. I love Nutella. I love pizza. I loved all these things. And today, I still love them, but I tend to make them myself. Of course, except Doritos, I don't know how to make that, all right? But the idea is, I looked up Nutella, and Nutella is almost like 50% just sugar and oil. Why? Like, where's the chocolate, okay? I looked up DiGiorno's pizza, and I love DiGiorno's pizza. It's like the best frozen pizza as far as flavor that I ever tasted. And I don't understand. Why can't I read the ingredients list? And I love Doritos. But why is it that Doritos has like coloring and a whole bunch of things that aren't really good for me? So the idea is when you start eating for your body and for your health and you're eating at Whole Foods, and believe me, there are a lot of things you can make at home or you can buy that are Whole Foods that aren't processed but are very tasty. And not just tasty, but when you're done eating them, you know what you get after? Energy. You ever ate like a big plate of processed junk like McDonald's, for example, and after you're done, the only thing you want to do is basically sleep because you're just like food coma. Now, the second thing that I did was basically you really want to build a lifestyle that involves moving. It's just like trying to move more. I have a lifestyle where it's like I can spend like 8 hours a day like just sitting. Whether I'm on the couch, work, commuting, most of everything is just sitting. That's all we do. And that leads to blood pressure problems, hypertension, also, for example, heart problems in the future. You don't want to develop those things, and I don't want to develop them either. So having a lifestyle where you're moving, like for example, I have a little garden in my house. I need to water it. I need to get up and water it. I try to walk or run. Those are things I need to do. And honestly, if I can just be honest with you guys for a second here, I would like to have a farm, so I can have work that involves like manual labor where I'm actually doing things with my body and moving around and burning calories, because sitting all day is not a good thing. And the results are showing it that it's not a good thing. So if you want to lose weight and you want to get healthy, those are pretty much the two things, okay? Change what you eat and eat whole foods. And two is just basically try to move more. I will say one thing, don't go to Whole Foods, or if you want, you can if you have money. But if you don't have money, just try to get things that aren't like processed or like have a whole bunch of things that you don't understand in them, and you're pretty much going to be well off. And just cook at home and you'll have a better time. And it's not just organic everything. Do your research. I can't go into it in this video in total, but there's a lot out there, man. But just Whole Foods and moving more is going to help you a lot. Now, number 5 is using your evenings to get your finances in order. Now, if you're healthy now, right, and you have that, then you might as well get your finances in order. Now, in the very beginning, my main focus was all wrong. It was just on making more money. It was never on making passive income. I thought that more money was gonna fix my issues, but the truth is, it doesn't. It doesn't, okay? It's why this is a real story. I'm not joking with you, okay? I have a friend, and this friend literally won the lottery. He won over $300,000 net, all right? That means he got that much money in his pocket. And I told him, hey, if you use this money and you invest it correctly, you never have to work again. You'll make your income every month that you used to work for passively. And he went ahead and he said, he bought a house, he bought a car, and now he's back at work, working a normal job. He's back at trading time for money. More money doesn't fix the issue if you don't know how to utilize it. That's why you have lawyers that make a lot of money, still have to keep working. People that make a lot of money still have to keep working, and they're usually one paycheck away from everything going downhill. You want to avoid that. So here are 3 things that you actually want to do to solve this, okay? Number 1 is you want to spend less than you make. It's not that complicated, okay? So if you make $1,000, try to spend no more than $1,000. The average American right now has about $90,000 in debt. That's a lot. I remember having $13,000 in debt and feeling like I was drowning. And then I worked up to $70,000 in debt and feeling like I couldn't breathe, all right? So it's awful. But you want to spend less than you make, and the things you can't afford, just wait a little longer. Now, number 2 is you want to use the extra income you have to basically pay off your debt. So if you already have debt, use the extra money you're saving by budgeting correctly and spending less than you make. Well, use that to pay off your debts. And then number 3 is use all the extra money once you're debt free to go ahead and try to build some investments. Money that you invest that pays you money later on. Now, I know exactly what you're wondering, potentially. I don't read minds, but I think I know what you're thinking. And the idea is, how do I do that? How do I budget? How do I pay off debt? how do I invest? The answer is I'm gonna link down below 3 videos so you don't have to look across over 1,000 videos on my channel so you know exactly how to do it. Plus, remember those 5 books I recommended? Those books can help you a lot also. That's also how I learned how to do these things, okay? But I'm gonna link those videos down below, so if you wanna watch them after this video, go ahead and watch them and take notes and put those things into practice. I think they're gonna help you a lot. Now, number 6 is the most important one. Honestly, to me, it is. And it's do yourself a favor. And here's what I mean with this, okay? Who's the person you spend the most time with? It's not me, right? We come here once a week, we talk, we chat, I love it. But for the most part, it's going to be yourself. I spend the most amount of time with myself. Even though I have a newborn, I still spend the most amount of time with just myself, and you also with yourself. So we might as well like ourselves. Now, how do we end up disliking ourselves? Well, one, we say we're gonna do something and we don't do it. We come home from work and there are dirty dishes that you left yourself for yourself. There's also clothes on the bed that you left yourself for yourself, okay? And there's also like no clear to-do list on what you're supposed to do. You left yourself just basically like in midair, like, what do I do now, okay? I did that so many times and I honestly didn't like myself because of that. I was like, gosh, like, why can't I get myself in order? So here are 3 things you can actually do, or just really one thing with 3 things inside to actually do to make yourself like yourself, okay? So the first thing is basically just prep. Now, what I mean by prep is, well, if you're going to have to go to work and you're gonna come home, make sure there are no dishes there, because that way you come home and you don't come home to more work. Number 2 is meal prep. So if you know that cooking is important and eating healthy meals is important, don't wait to come home and you're hungry and you're gonna have to cook something and then wash dishes. Bunch of time just gone right there. Well, instead of doing that, meal prep your meals for yourself and do yourself a favor. So when you come home, you have a good meal. You just have to reheat and then go ahead and basically just eat it and just wash that dish. You don't have to worry about it the next day. And then third, if you're going to have a full rest day, for example, let's say on Saturday, well, spend Friday prepping everything so yourself can enjoy that whole rest day without having anything to worry about. I think this sounds like very simple, but it's super important because the more favors you do for yourself, it's going to make things a lot more better. Here's something I also do, okay? So instead of basically having to come home and be like, what am I gonna do now? Well, I have a to-do list of what I'm actually going to do. So you need to do this, take the trash out, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And that way, when I get home, I have a clear plan of the things I need to do. So guys, in the end, those are the 6 things that I basically did to transform my evenings. Remember, your evenings are yours. That time is yours. Utilize it to change your future life forever. And it's not like you're just changing things in the future, but you're changing things also in the moment, and they're having a big effect right now. Remember, if you leave this video with anything, it's just give your work an honest chance to show results. Do not give up, okay? I'll see you guys next time. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. And if you don't know me, I didn't introduce myself. My name is TommyBryson. See you guys next time. Peace.